I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but they might actually deserve a belt. Okay, so it's another week and another Chinese SUV, but this one's a little bit more special than the rest. I'll tell you why in a bit, but let me introduce you to the C7 from OMODA. Now, in the OMODA range, the C7 sits between the C5 and the C9 as a mid-sized SUV. But let's be honest, just like your mum, this is actually larger than it thinks it is. So the C7 is described as a car for the fashion elite. However, the other day I saw a few uncles in one and I was like, damn, that car actually looks really good for you, sir. It's really a beautiful blend of futuristic design with aggressive elements. And I think that's a really good way to describe this. Futuristically aggressive. It is a beautiful car though.
Starting with the front, the most noticeable feature is the large frameless grille with a gradient hexagon pattern that blends straight into the bumper. It's definitely a different approach, but it gives the car a really unique identity. The slim, sharp LED headlights add definition to the front, and the integrated DRLs finish it off nicely with a little bit of extra flair. But those aren't the only lighting elements. You also get additional integrated lights in the bumper. These create a futuristic lighting signature, especially at night, giving the C7 a really distinctive front-end presence. All of these elements sit within the aggressive front bumper with large sculpted intakes and sharp lines, all working together to give the car a very sporty yet futuristic look. Now from the side, the C7 has a coupe-inspired roofline with a sporty and quite dramatic slope towards the rear, which makes it feel less like a traditional SUV. There are strong character lines running from the front fender all the way through to the rear, paired up with a fairly clean surface design. Even the door handles sit flush within the body, which just adds to that sleek, modern look. You also get the floating roof effect created by the blacked out pillars, which really help break up the side profile and give it a very premium feel. In terms of standout elements, you've got these fairly large side mirrors, the black plastic wheel arch cladding, and also these 19-inch wheels which have an interesting two-tone multi-spoke design that fills out the wheel arches nicely. Overall, the side profile strikes a nice balance between sporty, practical, and, may I even say, sexy, without going too extreme. Now the rear, which I have to say is wide. The C7 definitely has glutes, and that width is only emphasized by the most standout feature here, the full width LED light bar. The design has to be one of the most unique ones out there right now, with the lightning bolt style pattern running through it, which adds a huge amount of character and gives the C7 a really distinct lighting signature. The bumper itself is nicely sculpted with clean lines that aren't overly aggressive. Lower down, you've got some plastic section with a subtle design pattern and integrated reflectors, keeping things quite simple. And apart from the subtle roof spoiler and the C7 badging, the rear is quite minimal overall. The overall design of the C7 is actually quite desirable, hitting a lot of targets for South Africans with a huge presence, its unique styling and aggressive features. But looks are one thing, let's check out the driving.
Okay, the driving impressions of the C7 have me with mixed emotions. On the one hand, it's a very comfortable ride with a great feel to the suspension. But also, there isn't a lot of road noise that comes from the outside, and there is minimal engine vibration. Also, the cabin feels quite large and spacious. As the driver, it really makes me feel like I'm in a very comfortable driving position. Now, on the other hand, where the C7 falls short is, unfortunately, the throttle and the handling in terms of the steering. So with the steering, it's let me just take this turn. So with the steering and with the throttle, at low speeds, the C7 does not handle and move well. So the throttle is, as you can see, that was a very low speed, and then I just put my foot down slightly, but it just wanted to launch me. The throttle calibration for low speed is not great at all, and it's the same with the handling. The handling feels like it's got a mind of its own. But other than that, at like a normal driving speed or in like, the highway, the handling and the throttle manage well. It just seems to be at lower speeds where the C7 falls very short. So another point where the C7 actually shines is through the gearbox. The 7-speed DCT is very sharp and smooth. It's so synced up with the engine that it doesn't actually fish for any of the gears or the rev range. And this translates to all of the driving modes. Now, speaking of the driving modes, you have 3 to select: Eco, Normal and Sport. I've been primarily doing my testing in Eco for one reason alone. If I'm getting this car, it's for a family. And now with the petrol price becoming what it will be soon, I would want to find a family car that is super efficient. So that is why I have been testing this on Eco mode, but I'll tell you more about my findings later. The other modes are obviously Normal and Sport. And yeah, Sport is pretty fun. But the only thing is, when you change the modes, nothing else really changes other than your throttle input and your power output. Now, obviously, you're getting 145 kilowatts. Yeah, 145 kilowatts from the C7. And yes, those drive modes really use all of that power. Okay. So there are a little bit of nitpicks I'd like to mention. For one, at higher speeds, the cabin does roll a little bit, but again, that's it's minute. It's not terribly crazy. And if you are going around Cape Town, you'll notice we have a lot of bends here, so you will kind of feel those rolls. The other thing is the rear view. So since the car is a little bit more of a coupe style SUV, the actual rear windscreen is pretty tiny to see, so might be considered a little bit hard to see, especially when you're trying to focus on what's coming from behind. So yeah, those are the only 2 nitpicks. Other than that, the overall driving experience of the C7 has been quite pleasant. Yes, is it perfect? No, but it does shine a lot better than some of its Chinese competitors and even its Chinese brothers and sisters in terms of the C5, but that's another story altogether. What I think is absolutely beautiful about the driving experience is that DCT. Such a nice gearbox on this car. And look, here is what makes it very nice. I don't like cars that over rev, and I don't like cars where I can hear the revs going super high and it's trying to find the gears. This is so good. It's so fluid. Like yes, it took its time to get there. That's the throttle calibration I was talking about. But it just found the gear band that I needed, and the DCT really shocked me on this. It was such a nice pick. But yeah, that's been my driving impressions of the C7. Let's pull over and we'll check out the interior and tech.
The interior is sleek and bold, like being invited to a black tie event, with elegance nearly everywhere. There are a number of different materials used, such as the black leather on the seats, which also happen to be heated and ventilated, as well as power adjustable for both driver and passenger. The upper dash and door panels are covered in a soft touch material with a premium look. There is a spread of gloss and metallic elements throughout the cabin, like around the center console, screen, door handles and speakers. The steering has a soft leather wrap around it with gloss black trim around the controls. There is also ambient lighting throughout the cabin, which you can customize to different colors, and it really adds to the overall experience, especially at night. The tech and layout of the C7's front cabin is something we've seen on other OMODA and Chinese vehicles, but it still feels really fresh here. Up front, you've got a 15.6-inch infotainment screen, which supports wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and acts as the main control hub for the vehicle. From here, you can access things like the climate control, ambient lighting settings, media, and a range of safety and driver assistance systems. It also powers the Sony sound system with 12 speakers located around the cabin, including in the dashboard and the driver headrest, which are great for navigation and calls. Just ahead of the center console, you get dual phone trays, with one side offering a 50-watt fast wireless charger. Below that, you've got a few physical shortcut controls for media, climate, and the drive modes, which is a nice touch, especially in a cabin that's otherwise very screen focused. And then you've got this interesting center armrest, which opens sideways and is even connected to the air conditioning, so you can keep your drinks or snacks cool. As the driver, you're greeted by a slick steering wheel, which has multifunctional controls that are quite unique, with a scroll and click function. The left controls your cruise control and lane keep assist, while the right controls your media. Another standout feature for the driver is the fully digital 8.8-inch instrument cluster with a clean, crisp display and a number of different viewing modes. Other tech in the cabin includes a 4-zone voice control system which can detect where commands are coming from within the cabin, and a 540-degree camera system that even lets you see underneath the car. And if you want to see what's above you, you've got a panoramic sunroof with a full electric shade, plus tilt and slide. In the back, there's a great amount of legroom thanks to the C7's long wheelbase. Tech in the rear includes the extension of the ambient lighting, rear air vents connected to the dual zone climate control, as well as USB-A and USB-C ports. The overall experience in the rear is great. It's simple but comfortable, and the space alone is a strong selling point. The C7 is a wide load of a car. Some would even say it's got a BBL of a backside, which can only mean one thing: plenty of storage space. You've got over 600 liters of boot space, which is more than enough for everyday use. But if you need more, drop the rear seats and you've got over 1,300 liters to work with. Overall, the interior layout, tech and storage get a lot of points for the C7. It might even make it the new premium gold standard in SUV offerings, which I guess makes sense considering this is the Elegance trim. Now let's shift talking points. Consumption. OMODA claims 7.5, but we all know that's never the case with real world testing. Still, on the brighter note, with a good mixture of city driving and highway driving, I got around low 9s for the majority of my testing. And yes, that was achieved even with the different drive modes and speeds.
Okay, so this is the Elegance trim of the C7, the middle option, and just below that you have the luxury or the entry level, and above that you have the hybrid version. Now, both the luxury and the Elegance share the same engine, a 1.6 cylinder six-cylinder, 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that produces 145 kilowatts of power with 290 newton meters of torque. Now, the hybrid comes with obviously an electric motor, and that produces 255 kilowatts of power, but it's a 1.5, not a 1.6. That's some decent specs to choose from. Okay, so pricing, and before the pricing knocks your hat off like the Cape Town wind is to mine, it's not that bad, honestly. So for the luxury trim, you're looking at just under 540,000 Rand, 539,900 to be exact. Now for the Elegance trim and all of its beauty and glory, you're looking at just under 590,000 Rand. But if you want the hybrid version, you're gonna have to bump that up by almost 100K, starting at 689,900 Rand. That is actually quite competitive in terms of all of the tech, luxury, and even the interior. It's pretty competitive pricing, I'm not gonna lie to you. C7 was not on my radar, but experiencing it in the flesh has really changed my mind. This is a beautiful, beautiful car with a ton of features for a great price. The only red flags are the throttle and the steering wheel. Those are two factors that as a pure driver, I love to drive, cannot get over. It'll probably be good for you if it's not something that, you know, interrupts your feeling. But if you're looking for green flags, here are a few. Amazing tech, amazing luxuries as they are, but also a big green flag is the space. You're getting a lot of space for, let's be honest, not a lot of money. Yeah, the C7 really impressed me. But let me ask you, is it a hit or a miss? Please, let's drop a comment in the section below. It really helps the channel. Also, like, subscribe, and yeah, I'm Kalin, and this has been the OMODA C7. Bravo, OMODA, bravo.